When Harvard researchers began studying Japanese centenarians, they were looking for a dietary secret. Instead, they uncovered a 5,000-year-old biological code, a highly guarded breathing pattern that literally rewires the human brain for longevity. They took this ancient Japanese code and tested it on an American control group of men and women over 60. The results were so disruptive to traditional aging models that some in Western medicine tried to quietly suppress the study. What the researchers witnessed was not statistical noise. It was total biological transformation. Inside the MRI machines, regions of the brain long thought to be permanently dormant suddenly lit up like cities at night. Systemic inflammation markers plummeted by a massive 47%. But what made the scientific community question everything they knew about aging was the cellular data. Participants who practiced this specific breathing technique for just 90 days showed cellular markers identical to people 7 years younger. 7 years of biological decay reversed in 3 months. This technique is not a standard yoga exercise. It has been hidden in plain sight, practiced daily by the longest living population on Earth in Okinawa, Japan. Today, you are going to receive the exact blueprint. You will learn the exact rhythm to hack your own biology. But to understand why this code works, you must first understand the terrifying reality of what is happening inside your body right now. Western medicine tells us that aging is just a natural part of life. We are told to accept the decline. But Japanese bioenergetic philosophy views aging entirely differently. They do not see age. They see energetic stagnation. They see cellular suffocation. Loss of physical independence is not a curse of time. It is a mechanical failure of oxygen delivery. It is an invisible decline that happens in visceral, quiet moments. You know these moments. You reach for a word mid-sentence and it vanishes. You stand up from a chair and feel a slight shift in your balance. You pause at the bottom of a staircase wondering if your knees can handle the climb. You ask for help opening a jar you used to twist off without thinking. These are not minor inconveniences. They are biological alarms. Your brain is slowly suffocating, cell by cell. Year by year, reduced oxygen flow to your brain directly causes plummeting levels of a crucial protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of this protein as Miracle-Gro for your brain. Without it, your hippocampus physically shrinks. Memory formation grinds to a halt. The prefrontal cortex dims, making simple decisions feel like walking through thick mud. And the suffocation does not stop at your brain. Deep inside, every cell in your body are mitochondria. These are your microscopic power plants. Right now, they are gasping for efficient fuel. When your cells cannot process oxygen properly, a destructive biochemical cascade begins. Poor oxygenation means your mitochondria produce less cellular energy and massively more oxidative stress. This is why you feel that deep, aching stiffness in the morning. This is why a heavy wave of fatigue hits you by 2 in the afternoon. It is accelerated aging happening at the microscopic level. You are not just getting older. Your cells are literally starving for oxygen. But what if there was a way to force feed oxygen into your dying cells? What if you could flip a biological switch that stops the suffocation and forces the body to repair itself? In 2018, researchers at the University of Tsukuba conducted a landmark study that completely shattered Western medical assumptions about longevity. For decades, Western fitness experts preached that massive lung capacity and intense cardiovascular output were the ultimate keys to a long life. The Japanese data proved them entirely wrong. Lung capacity does not dictate how long you live. The true biological secret is cellular oxygen efficiency. It simply does not matter how much air you pull into your lungs if your cells do not know how to properly absorb it. The Japanese centenarians had mastered the profound ability to extract maximum energy from minimal breath. They achieved this by mastering a biological mechanism that Stanford researchers now refer to as the autonomic reset. Your autonomic nervous system controls everything in your body that you do not have to consciously think about. It controls your heartbeat. It controls your digestion. It controls your immune response and your cellular repair. Most people in the modern world spend their entire lives trapped in a chronic, low-grade state of fight or flight stress. In neurology, this is called sympathetic dominance. When your nervous system is locked in this state, your body is purely focused on immediate survival. It completely halts all long-term cellular repair. It stops fighting chronic inflammation. It allows your brain cells to wither and die because it is too busy preparing your muscles to run from an invisible, non-existent predator. The specific breathing rhythm utilized by the Japanese centenarians acts as a hard, physical reset button for this broken system. It forcefully pulls your biology out of chronic stress and drops you immediately into deep parasympathetic dominance. This is known as the rest and digest state. More importantly, this is the exact and only biological state where deep cellular healing can actually occur. By breathing in this exact ancient rhythm, you dramatically increase something called vagal tone. Your vagus nerve is the biological superhighway connecting your brainstem to your major internal organs. A high vagal tone means your nervous system is calm, resilient, and highly efficient. When your vagal tone goes up, your heart rate variability goes up. And when your heart rate variability increases, systemic inflammation drops off a cliff. Your immune function is suddenly enhanced. The silent fire burning inside your joints, your arteries, and your gut is rapidly extinguished. The medical science supporting this is undeniable. Harvard Medical School researchers found that rhythmic, carefully controlled breathing can increase those vital brain proteins by up to 40% in just 8 weeks. Let that data point sink in for a moment. 40% more brain-derived neurotrophic factor flowing through your mind. This is not a trick. This is actual neurogenesis. You are not just preserving the brain cells you currently have. You are actively growing new brain hardware. You are building new neural pathways. You are literally expanding the physical structure of your mind. But what makes the ancient Japanese approach so entirely different from a generic Western breathing exercise? It comes down to how they fundamentally view the breath itself. In the West, we treat breathing as a simple mechanical delivery system for air. We think of it exactly like pumping gas into a car. But 5,000 years ago, ancient Japanese practitioners understood something that modern biohacking and epigenetics are only just now proving in laboratories. Breath is not just air. Breath is information. Breath is a precise biological programming language. Every single time you inhale and exhale, you are sending lines of code directly into your nervous system. When you breathe fast and shallow in your upper chest, you are typing a biological code that tells your body it is in grave physical danger. You tell your adrenal glands to release toxic levels of cortisol. You tell your system to break down muscle tissue. You tell it to store visceral fat around your organs, and you accelerate the cellular aging process. But when you speak the language of the Japanese centenarians, your cells have absolutely no choice but to obey a different command. You speak directly to your DNO. You tell your body that it is safe to rebuild. You tell your cells to clean out the microscopic waste and optimize their energy production. Your biology is desperately waiting for you to type in the right code. The Japanese discovered this code thousands of years ago. They realized that by manipulating the precise timing of the inhale, the hold, and the exhale, they could completely control the internal environment of the body. They could ward off degenerative disease. They could keep their minds razor sharp well past the age of 100. And they did all of this without expensive supplements, without extreme restrictive diets, and without exhausting exercise routines. They simply learned how to communicate with their own cells. They understood that the most powerful, regenerative medicine on earth is already inside you, waiting to be activated by the rhythm of your lungs. This brings us to the core of their longevity protocol, the exact sequence of breath that changes everything. The Japanese call this ancient practice Tanden breathing. It is named after the body's ultimate energy center, located exactly 2 inches below your navel. In traditional Japanese philosophy, the Tanden is the absolute seat of your life force. It is the reservoir of human vitality. Western medical science looks at this exact same spot and identifies it as your body's core gravitational center and the vital anatomical focal point for deep diaphragmatic activation. We are going to take this ancient method of manipulating prana, or life energy, and repackage it into the ultimate modern biohack for optimized gas exchange. The protocol is called the 5-5-5 technique. But simply counting the numbers without understanding the underlying biology is completely useless. You must understand exactly why the breath heals you. We begin with a slow, controlled 5-second inhale through the nose, intentionally drawing the air deep down into the tandon. When you do this correctly, you are not just inflating your lungs with air. You are physically activating your diaphragm. The diaphragm is a massive, powerful dome-shaped muscle sitting just below your ribs. When you force it downward during this slow 5-second inhale, it physically massages your major internal organs. It directly stimulates the lower branches of your vagus nerve. Most importantly, it creates a powerful negative pressure vacuum inside your chest cavity. This vacuum actively draws stagnant lymphatic fluid up from your lower body so it can be processed and eliminated. This is deep, systemic detoxification happening at the most fundamental mechanical level. Then comes the 5-second hold. This specific pause is where the biological magic actually happens. When you hold your breath for 5 seconds, you allow the oxygen trapped inside your lungs to fully diffuse across the lung tissue and flood into your bloodstream. It is forced deep into your starving mitochondria. This specific 5-second pause triggers a very mild, calculated biological alarm. We call this hormetic stress. It is the exact same biological principle behind lifting heavy weights or taking an ice-cold plunge, but you are doing it at the microscopic cellular level. You are mildly stressing the cells, forcing them to adapt, to strengthen, and to optimize. You are literally training your body to use oxygen with ruthless, unforgiving efficiency. Finally, the 5-second exhale completes the electrical circuit in your body. You release the air smoothly and slowly. This long, extended release is the exact mechanical trigger that activates your parasympathetic nervous system. It drops your cortisol levels straight into the floor. This extended exhale sends a powerful chemical signal to every single cell in your body that the danger has passed and it is finally safe to repair. In this specific physiological state, your body shifts energy away from basic survival and aggressively pushes it toward regeneration. A miraculous biological process called autophagy immediately goes into overdrive. Autophagy is your body's internal cellular recycling program. It actively hunts down and clears out damaged proteins. It identifies and destroys zombie cells. Zombie cells are decaying cells that refuse to die, instead lingering in your tissues and causing rapid, systemic aging. The 5-second exhale sweeps away this microscopic debris that is clogging up your system. But the most staggering validation of this Japanese protocol comes from genetic research conducted at the University of California. They looked deeply into the science of telomeres. Telomeres are the protective caps located at the very ends of your chromosomes. Think of them exactly like the hard plastic tips on the ends of your shoelaces. As you age and experience stress, these caps naturally shorten and fray. When they get too short, the cell dies. The researchers discovered that controlled breathing techniques literally slow down the shortening of these vital chromosome caps. Even more incredibly, this specific breathing rhythm can actively stimulate telomerase. That is the rare enzyme responsible for rebuilding and lengthening your telomeres. This is not a poetic metaphor for anti-aging. This is your actual DNA responding in real time to the biological information you are feeding it through your breath. This is a literal DNA software update. We can actually see this update happening on modern brainwave monitors. When you perform the 5-5-5 breathing, the monitors show a massive, immediate increase in alpha wave coherence. Your respiratory rate, your heart rate, and your brain waves perfectly synchronize. Your entire biological system stops fighting itself and begins working in perfect, regenerative harmony. The centenarians in Okinawa do not overthink this process. They do not debate the science. They simply act with ruthless consistency. They do what works, every single day, without exception. But breathing is only the foundation. It is the master key that unlocks the door. Because while this breathing technique rewires your autonomic nervous system and optimizes your oxygen, the Japanese centenarians do something else. They perform 6 specific biomechanical movements that amplify the regenerative effects of this breathing by 300%. These 6 movements are designed to instantly clear physical stagnation from the deep tissues where aging accelerates the fastest. Tomorrow, I am going to release a video revealing exactly what those 6 movements are and how you can do them in under 12 minutes. But those physical movements will only work if your nervous system is properly calibrated first. You cannot build a house on a broken foundation, which is exactly why you must start the breathing protocol today, right now. Every day you wait is another day your cells are trapped in survival mode. Here is your exact daily protocol. Do this twice daily, once in the morning and once in the evening. Sit completely still with a perfectly straight spine. Place one hand firmly on your tendon, exactly 2 inches below your navel. Breathe in for 5 seconds. Hold for 5 seconds. Exhale for 5 seconds. Complete 10 full cycles. That is all it takes to rewrite your biological code. The Japanese have a profound saying: the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Your 7 extra years begin with your next breath.